Hello, this is SpectrumDominus, and we're here to do our 2016 SummerSlam predictions. SummerSlam is not 24 hours away. It'll be ending in about 24 hours. So we're a little bit past when SummerSlam will be ending tomorrow. So I guess that makes it about 20 hours, give or take, 17, 18 hours. Anyway, so we're going to do some predictions here. As always, I am going to use the Wikipedia list. Actually, no, I'm not. I'm going to be using the CBS Sports list, but I double-checked them against each other, and they both have the same exact matches, including several that I hadn't heard of. So we'll be using that. I have 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 13 shows listed, 13 matches listed, 3 of which are considered pre-show matches. So they plan on going big this year. It's starting an hour early. So we'll see what happens as we go forward. So first match I have listed is I have a I guess that would make it a 12-man tag team match. The tag team division is fighting against each other. I think we saw this match on SmackDown this week. Yes, we did. American Alpha, the Usos, and the Hype Bros versus Breezango, the Ascension, and the Vaudevillains. I don't see anything that notates it as anything but a regular old tag team match. It's not an elimination match. It's not a... So I'm interested to see why... I'm not interested to see, I should say. I'm not interested in this match at all. I like the storyline of American Alpha calling out the division, saying they're the best, and using all 6 the whole time, trying to really build up the division. I think that SmackDown is doing a much better job spotlighting the tag team division than Raw is. Raw is very pinpoint on the titles, and in their defense, they have titles and SmackDown don't. So we'll see what happens. I expect once SmackDown to get titles to be more pinpoint on the champions and the challengers. But right now, because they aren't, and theoretically any one of them could be the first champions, they're focusing on the whole division, and they're trying, in theory, to make the Vaudevillains and Ascension as viable an option as American Alphas or, yes, the Usos. I don't know. Again, aside from American Alphas, I don't know who else you could have win. Personally, I'd give it to Breezango first, but that's a whole nother story. So, who wins this match? I almost feel that you go the other way. Have either... Mojo Rawley get pinned or one of the Usos get pinned and let the heels win this match, only because they already won the match on SmackDown. So one thing I'll note about this pay-per-view is, and that's now that I see this card, that's even more so, this is the third time. This is a pay-per-view full of matches that we just saw. And I don't mean like necessarily the last pay-per-view. Sure, there's AJ versus John Cena, but honestly, they haven't fought in 3 months, I think. 3 months. Last month, they fought in a tag team match. They haven't seen head-to-head in a while. So I'm okay with that. I don't mind it. But between this match on SmackDown, Sheamus Cesaro twice last week, and Miz and Rusev on Raw, it's all... I just saw this match. Why are you showing this match on the show if we're watching it this weekend? So I don't care about this match at all. I do love American Alpha. They are ridiculously high on my list. I just wish they had some competition I really enjoyed as well. I talked on the NXT Takeover Brooklyn prediction show about how bringing Revival up to the SmackDown roster would be nice. I don't think that's going to happen anytime. I hope it happens sometime soon, but they could just as easily go over to Raw. We discussed that there. So I really don't care as long as they don't have... Well, I was going to say as long as they don't have American Alpha take the pin. But to be honest with you, if you let American Alpha take the pin here, it kind of weakens them a little. It doesn't hurt. It really doesn't hurt them at all to take a loss in a 12-man tag team match. So... they get knocked out. Tyler Breeze pins Chad Gable. It doesn't give them any hurt, and it kind of balances out a little, makes it so that American Alpha is not unbeatable. So I think I may even consider doing that if I was the writer. That's not going to happen here. So we'll see what happens. The next kickoff show match they have is Sami Zayn and Neville versus the Dudley Boys. This is Raw's answer to the tag team division right now. And it just goes to show how different the tag team setups are at this point. You have Enzo and Kaz fighting a put together tag team. You have the Dudley Boys fighting a put together tag team. You have a tag team division. People said there's not enough tag teams for a division. I have discounted that since the beginning. 6 tag teams is all you need to have a division. Both shows have 6 tag teams. This is fine. There's nothing wrong with 6 tag teams. It gives your teams like Breezango and Usos and Golden Truth, even on the Raw, a chance to showcase some stuff and be in more matches. However, if you're going to instead let Sami Zayn and Neville fight together against the Dudley Boys, I don't see a point of having only 6. I mean, you don't need it. You didn't need to split the division. You're still just showcasing the same tag teams then. So we'll see what happens. This is by far the easiest match to predict. Zayn and Neville win this match hands down. This is just we do not want to put out a major event like SummerSlam without these two that are supremely over on the card, yet we have nothing for them. That's the only reason they're there. They put them together. They're facing the Dudleys, who are I don't know if anyone noticed this, but they're in the midst of a breakup. Devon has taken the pin the last 2 to 3 matches they fought. Bubba has stared him down hard the last 2 to 3 matches we've fought. I think we're going to see a Bully Ray, depending on what they call him, a Bully Ray turn soon, and we're going to get the Dudleys taking a bunch of losses going forward until they break up, which is good. I'm good with that because Bully Ray was one of. I know a lot of people didn't like the Aces and Eights storyline. I enjoyed it for the most part. It dragged out just like the NWO. It started out really strong, and then it was just so long, and who cared? But Bully Ray was one of the really good highlights of TNA during that time when he was the heel and he was the champion or chasing the champion. I think he did a phenomenal job. He proved that he can be a singles wrestler. So I'm looking forward to that going forward. So hopefully that happens here. I'd love to see the breakup happen here. Sami pins either one of them. Neville probably does the pin because you get to see the red arrow then. Neville pins Devon. They leave. Bubba Ray beats up Devon. And we go forward. My only reason I don't think it's going to happen here is because it's on the pre-show. It seems a lot for the pre-show. That's more of a main show situation. So, the final pre-show match was one that was announced on the shows, and that is a 6-diva tag match. Carmella, Becky, and Naomi versus Natalya, Alexa Bliss, and Eva Marie. However, not sure if you guys have seen this yet, but Eva Marie, one day after Paige and Alberto Del Rio get suspended for violating substance abuse, Eva Marie also just got suspended today for substance abuse and will not be on the show. So it is listing on Wikipedia and CBS Sports as Carmella, Becky Lynch, Naomi versus Natalya, Alexa Bliss, and to be announced, TBA. Now, there's several ways it can go with this, and I've heard this on other videos too, so this is not, I'm kind of repeating other people's views, but I agree with them. You can, the best way I think is to have the announcer come and say, coming to the ring, Eva Marie, the all red everything, the guy, what they've been doing, and then instead of saying, is stuck in traffic, saying, has been suspended, and just throw it out there. People already know, what does it matter? Throw it out there, but more importantly, get her the heat for not showing up again, finding a way out of. The real funny thing, and I don't think they do this, but I would totally do this if I was them, is I would announce her substance abuse suspension. I'd have them do that at the SummerSlam, and then on SmackDown this week, I'd have her show up on SmackDown with a lawyer and paperwork and proof that it was a flawed test, and it would just be her way of getting out of the match. That's what I would do. I don't think we're going that far. That would be great, though. That would be so awesome. But they could go that route and make it a handicap match, although you don't tend to see a handicap match with heels. They could cancel the match. I don't think they're going to cancel the match, but that could happen too. Or they find some way. I know that we don't like mixing the shows, but you could theoretically have Alexa Bliss and Natalya have to find a partner and then go to Raw. And, I mean, they're in the same building as Raw people, and maybe they talk to, and I'm trying to think who else is on Raw, but that would be perfect. Run into Nia Jax and get Nia Jax, and then you can build Nia Jax on SummerSlam by having her squash some SmackDown people, and so it's interesting. It's hard to predict this one. If it's a 3-on-2 handicap match, faces win. If they pull in Nia Jax, then heels win. It's hard to predict. I'm going to say heels win because it's so obvious the faces win if they don't get a third substitution. So, moving from there, we get the Cesaro versus Sheamus Best of 7 series, which is not something I'm looking forward to. Don't get me wrong, I think Cesaro and Sheamus has put together decent matches over the past couple nights, but as over as Cesaro is, Sheamus is equally unover. And to just bury this match, this is Corbin versus Ziggler. Now, Corbin and Ziggler didn't have a Cesaro in it. He had Ziggler, but by the time we got to that match, Ziggler had already lost his shininess to most of the smart marks. So he's not as loved as, say, a Cesaro is right now. And Corbin is mostly hated to the level of Sheamus, so at least there's a little bit more love for this match, but I think by match 7 there won't be. I'd love to see a 4-match win streak by Cesaro and end it, or a 4-1, but they won't go that route. They'll drag it out to all 7, which means when it's all said and done, this will have been a 9-match series. But it starts here. I think that with Cesaro picking up the first 2 wins, they probably give the first match to Sheamus. He may have to cheat to win it, and that's fine. But Sheamus takes the first win, and that way Cesaro is always chasing from behind as the underdog, and you don't have Cesaro winning 3 in a row. So this is a Sheamus win, in my opinion. We'll see what happens. Next thing is, I say that a lot. We'll see what happens. Next thing is Miz versus Apollo Crews. I've heard this one predicted both ways many times. Crews didn't have the build up. They did the Miz TV segment with him during the commercial break, and then re-aired it to show us what happened during the commercial breaks. I guess that's one way of getting more TV time ish. I guess because they could cut out the extra part. I don't know, but since they showed it to us anyway, why not just do it on the live air? But aside from that, there hasn't been any build-up. He won it in a battle royal. They barely said 2 words to each other. He came out on Miz TV in a commercial break. There's been no build-up to this. So most people are saying without the build-up, with Miz being so good right now, and he is so good right now with the Intercontinental title and Maurice, they leave the belts on Maurice. I can absolutely see that. That being said, I think that this is one of those situations where you look at it as 2 matches are linked. One of the titles will change hands. Either Roman will be the U.S. champion or Crews will be the Intercontinental champion. So my prediction is that Crews wins and Rusev holds the title. However, my prediction is Reigns wins and Miz retains the title. That's what I'm saying. 55% Reigns wins and Miz wins the title, whereas just a 45% chance that it flips the other way. But I think they're linked. I think one of them changes hands. Next match is Enzo and Big Cass versus Jericho and Owens. This is definitely, in my opinion, a Enzo and Big Cass win. They've got to pump them. Gallows and Anderson may win the belt, and they may win it here, or they may win it on the next pay-per-view or something like that. But they may win the belt. They will win the belt soon, but they may only be transitional champions to get the belts on Enzo and Cass. The sooner they get the belts on Enzo and Cass, the happier the fans are. And more importantly, the sooner you can get them off Enzo and Cass so that you can split them up and make Big Cass a singles wrestler. But you're not going to do that without giving them at least a title run. So they want those belts on Enzo and Cass, in my opinion. To do that, you transition it over. Enzo and Cass has to win this match to build them up. A loss to 2 singles wrestlers do not help them in any way. Jericho and Owens have enough backstage chemistry, mic chemistry, and combative chemistry that you could turn this into a one of them screws up, and you can even go with a fight between them. That could probably, because they're probably the two best talkers on the roster right now, and the two funniest guys on the roster, two funniest single guys on the roster. You could have this fight work fine as two heels. However, you could also transition one into a face, especially if Jericho's going to be leaving the company soon. I don't know. I haven't heard any rumors, but I always assume he's leaving soon. He's been here for a while. So transition him to face, give him a battle till the end of the year with Owens as a Jericho the face and Owens the heel, and then let him go out as a face. Who knows when he'll be back. So Enzo and Kaz have to win that one. New Day versus Gallo and Anderson is interesting. I kind of already started talking about that in the previous match. Big E's not there. And that signifies to me that there's a chance that they're going to use that as a way to get the belt off. There's only two of them. They didn't have their support. They didn't have the people. Big E's almost always one of the ones that defends the title. It's usually Big E and Kofi, but sometimes it's Big E and Xavier. Xavier and Kofi, I don't know. I'd have to look, but I don't know if they've ever defended the title as that tag team. And maybe that's why this storyline was written, to give them a reason to fight as a tag team together. But that being said, I actually expect New Day to win this, or I should say, I actually expect New Day to retain the titles. I don't know how. They either win, or more likely Gallows and Anderson get disqualified or something like that. I'm not saying that Gallows and Anderson aren't going to get the belts. I'm just not sure it's going to happen here. They are 2 days away from hitting a full year. So they retain the belts here. They could lose it not the next night on Raw, but 1 week later on Raw, or at the next pay-per-view, which now we're going to start going into 2 pay-per-views a month. There's going to be a SmackDown pay-per-view like 2 weeks later, and then a Raw 2 weeks after that. So they're going to be fighting again shortly. So I don't see any reason why you can't have New Day retain and go with Gallows and Anderson, except for the fact, I need to stop hitting the table, except for the fact that this seems to be Gallows and Anderson's best option with Big E out. So it may be Gallows and Anderson. I'm going to pick New Day here just because I got to check mark a box. Sasha Banks versus Charlotte is an interesting one. This one is 100% Sasha Banks every time. That being said, if you're going to let the face win, then why did you have to get rid of Dana Brooks? Why couldn't you have let Dana Brooks be at ringside and have her retain anyway? I almost feel like when something like this happens, it's a way to get Charlotte the belt. The person that gets penalized ends up winning to overcome the odds, even if they're a heel. This seems weird to me. And after the match, I'll maybe be like, oh, okay, that makes sense. But I'm just not sure why they banished Dana from ringside for this. But that being said, I there's no world where they can take the belt away from Sasha already. No world where they can do that. It's got to be Sasha Banks. It has to be Sasha Banks. At least, she leaves with the belt. Now, whether Dana Brooks comes down and gets Charlotte disqualified for being, I don't know. There's all sorts of little things that could happen, but I think Sasha makes Charlotte tap out. I think, and then we move on to Nia Jax. That's all I can think of. To me, that's so obvious that I expect something else. I want something bigger and surprise. And my problem is there's nothing here that can really surprise me, I don't. So, next is Rusev versus Roman Reigns for the U.S. title. I'm happy either way here. This is one of those matches where it doesn't bother me either way, and I think most people have an opinion and a desire. Roman Reigns, since his bump down to the mid-card, has been seeing a decent amount of fan support. People like him fighting mid-card. People like him fighting people like Rusev that they hate. So it's okay to cheer Roman in that situation. And if Roman wins the belt, even better, it means he's not popping up to the world title anytime soon. He's going to fight mid-card. And I think that's what's best for the character. I think for the character Roman Reigns, giving him the US belt and letting him hold it for 3, 4, 5 months, Dean Ambrose is the longest reigning US champion of all time, I think. And at least as WWE wise. So it kind of made him more acceptable to be a main eventer. People got behind him a little better because he had that long. Reigns never had a mid card belt. He jumped over it and he's there. So I think that would help supplant him. Make him a viable option, and he can slowly build fan support through the mid card the proper way, the way he should have. I think that's the best thing for Roman Reigns. And seeing as I think Roman Reigns still is the future of the WWE, he is the future face that runs this place. I think that's what they need to do. Now, I'm afraid that they're saying, let's let him fight down here for a little bit, and then we're just going to pop him up. Aside from Seth Rollins and Finn Balor, all the main eventers are Brock Lesnar's, and it gets thin. It gets real thin. They did not bring up a face. Finn Balor became the face because there is no face on SmackDown. So it's hard to see them keeping him down there, which is what worries me. He'll get pushed back up, and they'll be like, well, we gave him a U.S. title shot. Why don't you love him now? And it's like they don't get it. But that's my fear. That being said, there's no reason why you can't have Rusev win this and keep Roman Reigns at the mid-card level. I would love to see that. That is my preferred option. That's the option that should happen. Rusev has been a beast since winning the U.S. title back. He's gone over everyone. He has looked like Rusev had when he had his undefeated streak going until he hit John Cena. And now he's going again, and he's hitting Roman Reigns, and I'd hate to see that momentum stop. I'd love to see Roman Reigns go down in this match. I'd love to see Rusev retain the title. I'd love to see Rusev keep this title all the way through the Royal Rumble or something. So we'll see what happens. Even if he retains it here and loses it in a month or 2 months to Roman Reigns after beating him once or twice, even that's better. But I don't want him squashed by Roman this quickly. Now, we did just see this match on Raw this week, and Roman did beat him cleanly while the U.S. title wasn't on the line, but Lana's honor was on the line. So apparently Roman honors Lana more than Rusev does or something. I don't understand all that stuff. But now I think because we saw a clean win by Rusev, it's hard to give him a clean win again. So I almost think that Rusev may cheat to win here, and thus retain the title. So I'm going with Rusev. John Cena versus AJ Styles. I'm going to go against the grain and say match 3, the rubber match. John Cena wins 2 and AJ wins 1 every time. I think AJ wins this one. AJ's going to win this one. He's going to win it cleanly. He's going to move up, and we're going to see AJ in the title picture going forward. So that's, I think, the thing. Going forward, AJ wins this and probably faces Dean Ambrose for the championship as the next opponent. I don't think there's much to say about that match. John Cena is going to take a loss. Next is Ambrose versus Ziggler. I love this match. Anyone who knows me knows I love Ziggler. He's one of my top 5 favorite current guys. I have been slightly souring on him lately, mainly because of what WWE has done to him. Not that he's done anything. It does get boring watching him lose to Baron Corbin. That's not his fault, but it doesn't change the fact that I'm bored watching it. I've loved everything he's done since during the draft through now. His talk on the SmackDown counter about all I need is some time, give me a mic in 5 minutes or 3 minutes, I think he said. And then what happened was they gave him a mic in the ring, and he sounded amazing. And all of a sudden, and I don't think that he all of a sudden got good at talking the mic. I think that all of a sudden he's found the right things to say and or the time to say it in. He has sounded like a true main eventer. And even more so when he stands in the ring next to Dean Ambrose, especially this week on the Miz TV, where he's like, and you're digging for that move and you're trying to find that one move and then he super kicks him out. And I was just like, yes. If you wanted to give the title to Dolph Ziggler, I am not going to complain. Now, again, I'm biased because I don't care for Dean Ambrose all that much, and I do love Dolph Ziggler. And I don't see any world where they give it to Ziggler. But I think he comes out of this match looking great. I predict a Dolph Ziggler heel turn here. Maybe after the match after he lost, or maybe in the middle of the match to cost him the match. But I predict a Dolph Ziggler heel turn here, and they leave him in the main event picture because after AJ Styles, it gets real thin. It's AJ Styles, Bray Wyatt, and then Baron Corbin is your third. So as Dolph Ziggler as your third heel, and you say Dean Ambrose and John Cena are the faces, and Wyatt, which we always know is who knows where Wyatt is and what they're going to do with him. So you're just saying AJ and Ziggler as your heels. I think that a heel turn for Ziggler here makes the most sense. Now, the problem is I already have other people heel turning in the pay-per-view. They're not all going to heel turn on SummerSlam. It's not going to be like 4 heel turns. But they could theoretically do the heel turn for Ziggler here and, like I said, not do the Dudley Boy one here because that doesn't make sense on the pre-show. So, but I'd love to see a Ziggler heel turn. Honestly, what I'd love to see is Ziggler heel turn and then come up on SmackDown with his haircut and in a suit. And almost like Chris Jericho back when he turned that character. That's what I'd love to do. Corporate Ziggler. But I'm not writing it, so I'm gonna go. It's not gonna that much isn't gonna happen. I'm hoping for the heel turn at least. But Ambrose retains the title. The Universal Championship. This one scares me the most, and the reason why is in any and every world that I can think of, Seth Rollins needs to, should, it makes no sense otherwise, wins this title here. First pick of Raw, he proves it by winning the title. The champion last year came back, they pinned Roman Reigns, all that stuff. He's the heel face that runs this place for the past 3 years. He has been the John Cena of the heel side. And they love him, and they need to honor him by letting him go down in history as the first Universal Champion. I'm good with that. That's how it should be. My fear is it's so obvious, and the people are so over on Finn Balor, which is ridiculous. Now, don't get me wrong. Balor has put up some decent matches since coming here. Giving away the demon entrance on Raw was absurd, and giving it away in the second hour instead of to end the show was the worst writing we've had in a long time. And we've had some bad writing. But this, to me, that is Katie Vick giving birth to the hand writing. You do not give away the demon entrance on Raw 6 days before the pay-per-view and then do it in the middle of the Raw, not at least have it end that way. Should have been the ending of the show. If you were going to do it at all, and you shouldn't have done it at all. But maybe they did that because they're not going to let him win. They didn't want him to the mystery and come out and then lose. By showing it on Raw, the mystery part of it is now gone. He had 6 days to get ready, and so who knows? We'll see what happens. But my fear is to give you that shock, that surprise, that one thing that really there isn't anything on the card that can give you. That thing to really give it to the fans. They get Finn Balor, the Universal Championship. He's the first ever Universal Champion. To me, that'd be a big mistake, and I would hate to see that happen. I'm not a big Finn Balor fan. I have been impressed with some of his work since coming up, but not enough to give him the Universal title. First ever Universal Championship, and then when he's gone, or a mid-carder, because that's what he's going to be. He's going to... I've talked about Shinsuke Nakamura on the NXT Takeover. This is what's going to happen. He's going to fight for the title, and win or lose. He may win, he may lose. 6 months from now, he's going to be the Intercontinental Champion. And that's what he's going to be. He's going to be a mid-carder. Ric Flair, I believe, said it. And yes, Daniel Bryan has main evented WrestleMania, but he did it with Batista and Randy Orton. But the main event of WrestleMania is never going to be Finn Balor versus AJ Styles. It's never going to happen. You're not going to have cruiserweights main eventing WrestleMania. I'm sorry, Ric Flair was right when he said that. Now, it may not have been the most popular thing, and it may not have been PC for someone who works for the company, and he shouldn't be doing that. But I don't work for the company, and unless they want to pay me to not make have these opinions, I'll take the money. But Finn Balor's never going to be that guy. And I think that once this initial push runs off, he's going... And don't get me wrong. When they turn him heel and they give him the club, he's going to be even more over. I understand that. I accept that. That's fine. But this version of Finn Balor is only as good as he can be until the shininess runs off, and that's going to be sooner rather than later. So giving him the Universal title and then putting him in the Hall of Fame as the 8-time Intercontinental Champion, 1-time Universal Champion, and the first ever Universal Champion. It's like you just kind of gave it to the wrong guy, and I hope they don't make that mistake. So I'm going to pick Seth Rollins, and I'm going to be quite pissed if they go Finn Balor here. And I will hope I was wrong in the future. I'll look back 10 years and say, oh, that Finn Balor kid, he won 7 championships. I may have been wrong. Final match is Brock Lesnar versus Randy Orton. I don't see how they can give it. Now, I'm going to say I don't see how they can give it to anyone but Brock Lesnar. Brock Lesnar has to win this. Randy Orton doesn't even need to win this to look good. So there's that. Now, this is how I said I would have booked this. First of all, I wouldn't have booked as many matches. And I was talking to my brother on our other channel, More on Wrestling. You can check that out. It may not even been videoed. We may have just been talking offline. But go check out More on Wrestling. Much more comedic, less straightforward, less informational, more discussions on what state of the WWE and prediction shows and stuff like that, box openings. So go check that out. But I said to him, this is how I would have booked it. I would have put them in the middle of the card. You know, let Seth Rollins, Finn Balor be the main event. Let them be the mid card. You don't stack the 3 matches back to back to back. Put them in the middle of the card somewhere, and have Randy Orton get announced first. He's out in the ring. Have Brock Lesnar come in the ring with Paul Heyman. Paul Heyman says his stuff, whatever, gets on the outside. Have the refs treat it like almost like UFC, like where they say, "Okay, guys," you know, or the at least the ring announcer going, not announcing either of them until they're in the ring, which they do sometimes. Usually just for championship matches, but this is a big enough match that they decided to do it here. And then have, after they announce it, the bell ring and Brock Lesnar going to take his shirt off. I would have Randy Orton RKO him out of nowhere and pin him 1, 2, 3 and end the match right there. 10-second match, 3-second match, whatever. Randy Orton pins, slides out of the ring and goes. Then I would have a backstage segment. And I know a lot of people are like, too much authority. I love the authority. I'm sorry. I love all the authority. The good and the face and the heel authority. I love seeing that stuff. It's part of the show. I'm watching it for the show, not necessarily the wrestling matches. It doesn't just have to be wrestling match, wrestling match, wrestling match. I love the show. So they're part of the show, and I like seeing them. I would have Mick Foley go and knock on the door and talk to Shane McMahon and Daniel Bryan and say something like, listen, Randy pulled one out. I pulled it... that RKO, he got him. Congratulations, great job. That being said, it was kind of out of nowhere, and the match wasn't even really started. Brock wasn't ready, and it's not an excuse, but Brock would like another match. So if the next time we get together on a pay-per-view, we can do this again, let me know. Talk to Randy Orton, see if he'll do another match at some point with Brock Lesnar. And then have a match or two go by and have... Shane or Daniel go up to find Mick and say, hey, Mick, Randy said he'll do another match with Brock. That's fine. But he wants it to be tonight. So, and then I'd have them fight a second match in the main event, make Randy look good, have Brock win, really pumps up Randy, really pumps up the RKO by the fact that he was able to hit it and pin him. That's how I would play it out. Give them 2 matches. Take off something like the 6-woman tag match and or the Sami Zayn Neville Dudley Boy match. There's no reason you can't take out the Sami Zayn Neville match, move Sheamus and Cesaro onto the pre-card, and let that match go on twice, one of them for 10 seconds. So that's how I would write it. I would love to see that happen. I think that Brock goes over clean here. I think that Randy puts up I think it's going to be a good match, enjoyable match, and I think that by doing it the way they're going to do it, there's no question. By doing it the way they're going to do it, Raw wins, which is weird. I kind of want SmackDown to win, I guess. By doing it my way, Raw still ends up walking away the night at a win, but SmackDown kind of gets to hold their head high as, well, we've gone. And you could even, in a month at Survivor Series, you can say, have them have their third rubber match. They each have one, and string it out a little that way. Or have them each be the captain of the Survivor Series teams or something, you know. So that's what I would do. Not going to happen. That's not my prediction. My prediction is Brock Lesnar wins pretty much straight out. I'd love to see something surprise me in this match. But that's what I have for SummerSlam. Let me know in the comments what you think the SummerSlam prediction, what your SummerSlam predictions are, especially if your prediction is different from mine. I don't mind reading, so give me a long explanation of what happens. I may even write you a video, do a video back in response to your comments. Like if you like the video, and make sure you subscribe if you want to see more. Follow my other channel, More on Wrestling, where I do it with my brother. And yeah, thank you very much, guys, and have a nice day.